Some motorcycles never needed to show off. They stood quietly by the roadside, wrapped in humble lines, yet carrying a strength that even legends respected. The 1970s, an era when speed became a religion. The world worshipped icons like the Honda CB750, the Kawasaki Z1, and the Yamaha RD350. But behind that spotlight lived the silent ones, the unknown sleepers, with no bold stripes or roaring exhausts, just fiery hearts beneath modest paint. They were machines of surprise, seemingly gentle, until a single twist of the throttle made the world stand still. Today, let's travel back to the 1970s and uncover 15 forgotten sleeper motorcycles, the quiet warriors that once left the world in awe. Suzuki GT380 Sebring. In a world filled with roaring exhausts and gleaming chrome, the Suzuki GT380 Sebring chose silence. It wasn't loud nor flashy, yet anyone who truly loved machines would pause to take a second look. Introduced in 1972, the GT380 was the smaller sibling of Suzuki's legendary GT750. Powered by a rare 371 cubic centimeter two-stroke triple. It featured Suzuki's Ram air cooling system, a clever airflow channel over the cylinder head, keeping the engine steady and efficient, mile after mile. What made the GT380 a true sleeper was how it hid its strength beneath a calm appearance. Its 38 horsepower might sound modest, but with just over 400 pounds of weight, it could surge forward with startling eagerness. You didn't need to race it. Just twist the throttle, and that raspy three-cylinder growl filled the air. Deep, sharp, unforgettable. Honda CB400F Super Sport. If there was ever a motorcycle in the 1970s that earned respect through sheer elegance, it was the Honda CB400F Super Sport. It looked small, graceful, almost harmless, yet beneath its bright red tank and classic round headlight lay one of Honda's finest small four-cylinder engines ever built. At just 408 cubic centimeters, it came with a rare 6-speed gearbox and the now iconic 4-into-1 exhaust, a masterpiece of engineering and melody. Once the revs climbed past 8,000, the sound didn't roar, it sang, like a trumpet solo echoing through the night. On paper, it was no monster, but in reality, it was a true sleeper. Light, nimble, and perfectly balanced. The real beauty lay in how it felt to ride, precise, smooth, and utterly composed, as if every bolt and bearing were tuned for those who love speed without showing it. Kawasaki H1 500 Mach 3. When the Kawasaki H1 500 Mach 3 debuted in 1969, it struck the motorcycle world like lightning from a clear sky. No one believed that something so compact and graceful could be so utterly insane. Beneath its sleek frame roared a 498 cubic centimeter two-stroke triple, producing over 60 horsepower, numbers that rivaled race bikes of the era. Weighing just 384 pounds, its power-to-weight ratio made it one of the quickest machines of the early 1970s. But that power came at a price. The H1 was legendary for its brutal acceleration. It didn't just move forward, it snapped you into the future. At high speeds, it demanded courage more than skill. Riders called it many names: the Widowmaker, the two-stroke monster, or simply Japan's wild child. Yamaha TX500. At a time when every manufacturer was chasing bigger and louder machines, Yamaha quietly chose precision over power. The result was the Yamaha TX500, a motorcycle few remember by name, yet none forget once they've ridden it. Introduced in 1973, the TX500 featured a 498 cubic centimeter parallel twin DOHC engine, far ahead of its time. Though air-cooled, it used clever oil passages around the cylinder head to keep temperatures low and performance consistent at high revs. From the outside, it looked gentle, slim, modest, almost fragile compared to its muscular rivals. But once the throttle opened, that balanced, rhythmic hum revealed the very soul of Yamaha. Refined engineering, wrapped in restraint. Though it never became a star, the TX500 quietly paved the way for future legends, including the iconic XS series. Moto Guzzi 7 Sport. If one motorcycle could embody the spirit of Italy, the harmony of craftsmanship, mechanical precision, and unrestrained passion, it would be the Moto Guzzi 7 Sport. Introduced in 1972, it was Guzzi's bold statement that Italy could build a true performance machine to rival anyone. Beneath its low-slung olive-green frame sat a 748 cubic centimeter, 90-degree V-twin, mounted lengthwise, a configuration only Guzzi would dare to perfect. The engine didn't roar, it sang. Each revolution was a symphony of rhythm and warmth. With over 70 horsepower and a top speed surpassing 120 miles per hour, the V7 Sport was both fierce and graceful, a balance between motion and soul. Triumph. Trident T150. Before the world fell under Japan's motorcycle revolution, Britain had its own proud icon of speed and grace, the Triumph Trident T150. Born in 1968, the Trident carried the heart of British engineering. A 750 cubic centimeter air-cooled triple, producing around 58 horsepower and capable of exceeding 120 miles per hour. It wasn't just fast, it was refined speed. What truly set it apart wasn't numbers, but character. The deep, cello-like exhaust note, the steel frame that felt carved from resolve, and a riding experience that seemed to read your mind. While Japan's CB750 was rewriting the rulebook, the Trident remained unapologetically British, dignified, composed, and quietly defiant. Yamaha RD350. If one motorcycle captured the rebellious spirit of the 1970s, it was the Yamaha RD350, a small two-stroke machine with the heart of a racer. Introduced in 1973, it packed a 347 cubic centimeter air-cooled twin, delivering nearly 40 horsepower. Impressive for a bike weighing barely 350 pounds. The result was explosive acceleration that embarrassed many larger machines. But the RD350 wasn't just about speed, it was about feeling. The crisp crackle of its twin exhausts, the blue haze of two-stroke smoke, the rush of wind as it screamed toward redline, it was chaos, art, and youth, all at once. On the streets of the 70s, riders called it the subtle killer, not for danger, but for how easily it deceived with its mild looks. BMW R75/5. While others chased noise and flash, the BMW R75/5 chose to express power through silence. It was a motorcycle that never needed to prove itself, just one ride, and you understood why the Germans called it the machine of precision. Launched in 1970, the R75/5 featured a 745 cubic centimeter air-cooled boxer twin, the embodiment of BMW's engineering philosophy. Its low center of gravity, shaft drive, and near-perfect balance made it unnervingly stable, calm, confident, unshakable. On the highway, it didn't roar, it hummed. The engine pulsed gently, the scenery blurred, and everything felt effortless. With the R75/5, BMW showed that performance didn't need drama. True strength lay in the seamless connection between man and machine, in mastery, not noise. Kawasaki Z400. Introduced in 1974, the Z400 featured a 398 cubic centimeter inline-4 DOHC engine, a level of sophistication unheard of in its class. One look at its perfectly finned cylinders, and you knew this was built by engineers obsessed with precision. On the road, the Z400 felt surprisingly smooth and exact. At high revs, its exhaust notes sang like a metallic symphony, reminiscent of the Z1, only more restrained, more graceful. With just over 40 horsepower, it wasn't intimidating, but every gear shift brought a quiet joy, the kind only true riders understood. Suzuki GT550 Indy. The 1970s were Suzuki's golden era of two-stroke brilliance, and the GT550 Indy was one of its forgotten gems. Introduced in 1972, the GT550 housed a 543 cubic centimeter air-cooled three-cylinder engine, positioned between the GT380 Sebring and the GT750 Water Buffalo. Producing just over 50 horsepower, it wasn't as wild as its bigger sibling, but far smoother and more balanced. What made the GT550 special was its perfect blend of touring comfort and sporting spirit. A sturdy frame, responsive throttle, and generous low-end torque. When fired up, its triple-cylinder hum resonated like a smoky song, deep, warm, and hypnotic. On open roads, it inspired confidence, as if the bike itself anticipated every move of its rider. Honda CB500. After the CB750 revolutionized the motorcycle world, Honda didn't stop there. They built a smaller, more balanced, and more approachable sibling, the Honda CB500. Introduced in 1971, the CB500 featured a 498 cubic centimeter inline-4 DOHC engine, producing around 50 horsepower, delivered through one of the smoothest 5-speed gearboxes ever made. What made the CB500 special wasn't raw power, but its refinement, the perfectly even idle, razor-sharp throttle response, and near-flawless balance. On the road, it didn't demand attention. It simply flowed, calm, composed, and effortless. Yamaha XS650. In the world of parallel twins, few names resonate quite like the Yamaha XS650, a machine that looked ordinary but carried an unshakable mechanical soul. Introduced in late 1968, the XS650 housed a 654 cubic centimeter air-cooled parallel twin with a single overhead cam. It produced around 50 horsepower, but what riders remember wasn't the number, it was the feeling, the abundant torque, instant throttle response, and that unmistakable vibration that made every ride visceral. The XS650 wasn't built to impress. It was built to connect, to remind you what raw mechanics felt like when metal, oil, and motion danced together. Its rugged reliability and strong steel frame made it a favorite base for cafe racers and bobbers around the world. Kawasaki Z1 900. Some motorcycles aren't just built. They're born to define an era. The Kawasaki Z1 900 was one of them. Introduced in 1973, the Z1 stormed into the motorcycle world like thunder. Beneath its dark bronze paint and flowing lines lay a 903 cubic centimeter inline-4 DOHC engine, producing over 80 horsepower, the most powerful production bike of its time. When it fired up, the engine didn't roar. It resonated deep and commanding, like a mechanical symphony of dominance. Twist the throttle, and it unleashed a sound that made streets fall silent. The Z1 wasn't just a Kawasaki icon. It was a declaration of engineering purity, of speed, mastered through precision. Honda CB750 Sandcast. The 1960s ended with a quiet revolution. While the world was still in love with two-strokes and old-school twins, Honda was preparing something no one had ever seen. In 1969, they unveiled the Honda CB750 Sandcast, the world's first production motorcycle with a 736 cubic centimeter inline-4 DOHC engine and a front disc brake. The name Sandcast came from its early Sandcast engine cases, a handmade touch from the first 7,000 units that would become mechanical treasures. With over 67 horsepower and a top speed exceeding 120 miles per hour, the CB750 didn't just perform. It redefined what a motorcycle could be: reliable, powerful, yet astonishingly civilized. Suzuki GT750 Water Buffalo. In the world of two strokes, few names inspire both awe and nostalgia like the Suzuki GT750 Water Buffalo. It wasn't just a motorcycle, it was the proud farewell of a glorious era. Introduced in 1971, the GT750 carried a 739 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled three-cylinder engine, the first of its kind in a Japanese production bike. Its massive radiator and thermo-siphon cooling system earned it the affectionate nickname Water Buffalo. Producing over 70 horsepower and capable of nearly 120 miles per hour, it was powerful. But what riders remember most is the feeling, that deep, melodic, three-cylinder exhaust note, like the breath of a giant. Heavy, smooth, yet commanding. The GT750 blended brute strength with quiet sophistication. As the last exhaust note fades into the wind, we realize these sleepers were never just motorcycles. They were memories, the heartbeat of an era where speed and soul became one. The 1970s may be gone, but every time you see a small, unassuming bike with faded paint, you can't help but wonder, does it still hide a heart that once stunned the world? These machines don't need fame to be remembered. They live on in the sound, the smoke, and in the hearts of those who truly love them, like you. If you've ever seen, heard, or ridden one of these sleepers, share your story. Because maybe, through your memory, these legends will ride once more.